This episode of Breaking Down the Ring is brought to you by Chawla Legal Group Estate Planning. Estate planning is for everyone. Whether you're worth $4,000 or $40 million, estate planning can help protect you, your family, and your assets while you're alive and well. Damn. To register for an upcoming workshop today, go to chawlalegal.com/workshops or call 586-273-7157. Again, that's chawlalegal.com/workshops or call 586-273-7157.
What the Rock is cooking.
You're listening to the Podcast Detroit Network. Visit www.podcastdetroit.com for more information.
This week in... What? I'm here. I'm on. Yes. There we go. Oh, whoa. Yeah. My headphones are bad. This week in wrestling was one of the craziest fucking weeks in wrestling history. From racism claims being put out by an NXT superstar who sold 0 shirts to maybe the government of Saudi Arabia not allowing WWE superstars to go back home. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into all this. The invasion of SmackDown, the NXT, the AEW setup for Full Gear, all of that this week and more as we
break the ring down.
Woo! You don't know what hard times are, Daddy.
The cream rise to the top, oh yeah.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. You just made the list. This right here is a family.
Hey, this is professional wrestler and professional podcaster Colt Boom Boom Cabana.
My name is Killer Cross.
This is The Smoke Show, Scarlett Bordeaux.
What's up, guys? The After Machine, Brian Cage.
This is Ryan from Pro Wrestling Tees.
Sadly, you are not listening to The Art of Wrestling, but you made a decent choice because you're listening.
You are now listening to...
And you're listening to
Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring. Break it down.
Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the most inappropriate pro wrestling show in the motherfucking world. You're listening to Breaking Down the Ring. We are your ring crew.
Nas. Nick One Tit.
Nicky One Tit, and me, the almighty one, the current, the most amazing ring crew champion in the world, the almighty one, Mikey himself. God damn it, midget stripper, leave me alone.
Glad to have him back. I mean, he brings so much energy to the show. Fuck this monster. Full of fire.
Damn right, boys. All right, Sarah, I think the net levels are good again. That was weird. I was. Am I flipping around to you guys right now?
A little bit.
Yeah, okay.
There you go.
Check, 12 and a half, 77, 32, 78, chicka, Slim Shady, going blonde. Anyway. Sorry, guys. It's been a couple weeks since I've been here. The Lions had some home games. I had some work to do. And Nick did a great job running the show. Running the board. There's a couple more shows this for the rest of the year that he's going to be doing that as well because, of course, Lions home games. Although, let's see how they play. Because I might not be necessary to be working a Lions home game if it's not busy. Look, this week started off, we tried to do something live on Monday before Raw because of all the fucking Jordan Miles stuff for that his NXT shirt. We'll get into that specifically as soon as Smitty gets here. So we're going to wait a little bit for that to get his opinion because obviously he has more of an opinion on it. And I've had conversations with Walt and, you know, people that we've had, friends of the show, people that are not just us crackers. And they've had some pretty good opinions on it. Fucking Raw happened, and there was like, oh, what the fuck was this? And then, of course, Access debuted Impact Wrestling with an amazing show, with an amazing main event where their main title changed hands. NWA Power was also on Tuesday. Look, guys, if you're a fucking fan of wrestling, this is it. Obviously, you're a fan of wrestling, you listen to the show, but for us fans of wrestling, this is one of the best time. I think this is better than Monday Night War time. Granted, like was said before on the show, there's a fucking lot to watch, right? If you can get it all in, you're awesome. It's great for you. Wonderful. But at the same time, when you find your cup of tea, stick to your cup of tea. Go check it out when you hear something big's going on. So NWA Power at 6:05. And then you got, if you watch AEW Dark, that comes on at 7 o'clock on YouTube. And then Access has Impact Wrestling at 8 p.m., again, on Access TV. And then on Wednesday, going head-to-head, we have NXT on USA Network, AEW Dynamite on TNT. Thursday kind of gives you a day off, a chill, a quick little break to get into stuff. And then Friday Night SmackDown. This Thursday, we had Crown Jewel going on Halloween. And obviously, we weren't going to talk much about that because we don't. It's a Saudi show. Look.
But we have to.
Look, man, WWE, we have said it before. We understand why WWE did the shows. They were trying to help a nation move progressively forward. And then after the contracts were all signed, that nation decided to go, we're going to kill this reporter. But you're stuck into a contract. You can't change it. You can't just null and void it. You can possibly get sued, lose a whole bunch of money until the other party does something. And that's what's seemingly going on now. WWE did Crown Jewel. Now, first and foremost, the WWE first did their first ever women's match in Saudi Arabia. Some people are saying it's the first ever women's match in Saudi Arabia. It's not. I think Velvet Sky and a couple other of the Impact girls did a match in Saudi Arabia. Maybe it wasn't televised. I don't know. This is definitely WWE's first one, and it is definitely the first one on the biggest scale. So they had Lacey Evans and Natalya go at it, which I'll be very honest, we've all said, I'm kind of fucking sick of Lacey and Natalya. But on the stage that this was for, how the match started with a handshake and everything like that, it was a great move forward. So, that being said, before we start talking about all the negative stuff about the Saudi Arabia situation, the women's match, when it was announced, Nas, what were your first thoughts? And did it change your mind on watching any of Crown Jewel? Or were you just like, nope, I'm not going to watch? Because I'll be very honest, we've seen the clips, we know what's going on, we paid attention, right? Because of that. But we weren't all planning to watch this fucking show because it's Crown Jewel. We weren't going to talk about it, but that kind of changed things when that match was announced. So did it make you go, okay, I'll watch this whole pay-per-view, or I'll at least check out the tidbits now?
No, that was not the match that drew me into actually watching bits and pieces of Crown Jewel.
Oh, wow.
But when I heard about it, I thought to myself, man, this is good for Natalya for one, because she's been in the company so long, and I feel like she's the only woman who hasn't really gotten anything out of this women's evolution, even though she's been around the longest and been the best worker for a long time. Mm-hmm. So it was good for her. I mean, great for Lacey Evans. The kind of showing the company kind of showing like their faith in her, and on top of that, like these women have to look at this match like this is as big as or bigger than main eventing WrestleMania for that barrier to be broken. Mm-hmm. So that's great. Other than that, it wasn't like it didn't make me want to tune into the pay-per-view any more than I did before.
Okay.
Put it that way.
What about for you, Sir Nicholas?
I would agree. It didn't make me want to tune in anymore. It was intriguing, and when I heard about it, I was like, "Oh yeah, that's really interesting that they're actually going to go through with that." I did watch Crown Jewel, and I did watch that match. The match itself, for me, seemed more like I don't really know the term. I don't want to say clinic, but more like an exercise for the two of them rather than an actual competitive match. Mm-hmm. But you could really tell by the few women that were in the crowd, they were really intrigued. They were on their feet. They had their cameras out. They were happy to see women in that light. And I think that moment on that stage in Saudi Arabia was a big moment for Natalya, for Lacey Evans, and for all the women in that country. I got that feel from it. It just felt like that.
The emotion that Lacey showed after the match, just bowing to the crowd, showing the respect, and the tears that were coming out of her eyes for being able to do that. Look, Lacey Evans, while she is a newcomer, she's obviously someone that this company wants to push. But before all that, she was a Marine. She served our country. So she has gone overseas to some of these places and seen the fucking horrors that we only hear about in news reports. So she has seen more than we will ever know. So the fact that she was one of those competitors, I thought was an amazing testament to not just a push that she's getting, but a huge thank you for the service that she has given our country in doing anything as a Marine, and so, they had their full suits on, full body suits with the T-shirts over it because obviously no skin-tight clothing.
I don't need an ankle slip.
Yeah, nope. And on anything like that. So, yes, as far as that women's match, that was wonderful. It was a great thing by WWE to do. It was a wonderful situation.
Lacey Evans looks way better without makeup, by the way. I'm just saying.
I think a lot of those women in that division do look better without makeup. Like Billie Kay, hands down, looks way better without makeup than...
I will say that I think Billie Kay is gorgeous, period. But the red lipstick throws me off.
Yeah.
And that's all it is.
Like you go on her Instagram, and she's not wearing, like, lipstick at all. Like, but she will have, like, eye makeup on and stuff. But it's a night and day difference almost.
That's what it was for Lacey too. The minute she took that red lipstick off, I was like, okay.
So
anyway.
WWE then had a couple other matches. Like I said, we're not going to go into this card other than the huge one, which made an impact on two of the shows, and that was in the Falls Count Anywhere match. Can't be stopped for any fucking reason whatsoever. The Fiend Bray Wyatt became the Universal Champion after being thrown into all the speakers, all the fire, and popping up, throwing the mandible claw on Seth Rollins, and then pinning him after his sister Abigail. He was your new Universal Champion. Well, Bray Wyatt's a SmackDown wrestler, all right, and Brock retained against Cain Velasquez. So this leads into SmackDown, but everyone that was supposed to leave Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, were hopping on a charter flight to take off and take a 20-hour flight to be in New York, I believe, where SmackDown, or maybe that's where they were landing, and then traveling to Buffalo. Okay. So in the state of New York, Buffalo, New York, to do SmackDown. Well, all of a sudden there was talk of mechanical issues. And then people were tweeting out, never again, this sucks. And I will
need all the prayers.
Rusev dropped a need all the prayers. I'm not personal friends, but Larry Dallas, who used to be on Busted Open, we've talked about him before and how he stood up for people who were being wronged and lost jobs in radio, podcasting, and stuff like that because of that. Well, he dropped a tweet that this how I got notified of the plane situation. He said, where is it? He goes, if I land before, because he does commentary for Dragon Gate Wrestling. So he goes, if I land in Japan before our boys are home, there's a serious problem with that. Oh, he deleted it. Yeah, he deleted it. Okay, so anyway, he goes, there was all the other things, and he said, he goes, I don't care what the reason is. He goes, friends, fathers, sons, brothers are stranded in a land where there is no control, without a real choice to have gone. And to leave them or not be on the first flight back is disgusting. Call President and who's in that fraud hall of fame, which ended up happening. Eventually, the WWE had the U.S. government involved in this, so all of a sudden everyone's like, this isn't a plane issue, something else is going on.
International incident.
Yes. Reported by Ringside News. Nick shared this on our Facebook. And I'll just read directly from it. The reporter is H. Jenkins. And again, this was on November 2nd. WWE Crown Jewel went fine for those watching at home on the WWE Network. If you were in Saudi Arabia, the feed for the event was cut off. Superstars were stranded in Saudi Arabia after they experienced what was reported to be mechanical issues. There might be more to the story than that. Brad Shepard reported that WWE hasn't been paid for the last Saudi Arabian shows. He went into even more detail about this as well. Now, this is quotes from Brad Shepard's, which I believe is tweets. I have the real story they don't want you to know on WWE Saudi Arabia flight delay. Get ready. According to a high-level source in WWE, the outward reason being given for the extensive delay returning to the U.S. from Saudi Arabia is the plane having mechanical issues. I'm told some WWE employees were able to get on separate rented planes and leave. As of a few hours ago, making it to Buffalo for showtime was not a guarantee, so we'll see. I'm told internally that many question the validity of the mechanical issues. I'm told Saudi Arabia owes WWE money for previous events. I don't know how much they owe. Everyone is mad about this. I'm told people were skeptical of the trip to begin with due to SmackDown on Fox being the next day. I'm told people in WWE were already frustrated to begin with before the show began, and this only added to it. According to a source in WWE, Vince McMahon said they won't be returning to Saudi Arabia until they get their money owed. That's what we were talking about a little bit at the beginning of this. WWE can't just opt out of a contract like that because they are liable to lawsuits that could possibly bankrupt them for all the money that Saudi Arabia was supposed to give them and get in return for the WWE programming. Now it seems that Saudi Arabia, by not paying, is voiding the contract that they put in with WWE. So this kind of might give WWE a way out of this contract if they truly want to. That being said, this is crazy. This is fucking nuts. There is no reason that this needed to become this type of issue. Nas, when you were reading about this and hearing about this, what were your first thoughts?
I wanted to know if President Trump was going to be a two-time Hall of Famer if he got them out of this.
You put that on your Facebook, dude.
Yeah, sure fucking did. It was a
He got A$AP Rocky out.
That nigga didn't do nothing.
I didn't know what to think because at the time I was reading it, nothing. I mean, still now nothing's confirmed. Everything's a rumor. Mm-hmm. But you know, I read that they made a call to the White House and stuff like that. But now, when the reports initially first came out, I would have thought it was the other way around. I thought it was like Vince owed Saudi money or some shit. That's why he's holding all these people hostage. But it wasn't like they held them hostage, because if you had a private charter, you left. That's why Brock left. That's why Vince left. That's why, 20 people, 12 superstars, 8, staff, all left on a charter. And the only reason they didn't make it to SmackDown is because they actually had mechanical issues and had to land in Newark, so they weren't going to make the show. Mm-hmm. So why, at that point, didn't WWE just be like, all right, we're going to rent all these planes to get all these people home and get them the fuck out of there, instead of sending them on a commercial flight that has the power to shut you down and not go anywhere?
Mm-hmm. Nick?
At first, I didn't think a whole lot of it. It was like, oh, well, they're having mechanical issues and they're just going to need to get a different plane. It's just some kind of news story just to have news. And then it just kept escalating from there. I've read a couple different articles about how the prince in Saudi Arabia no-showed a meeting with Vince McMahon that was basically to talk about the money that was owed to WWE. There was talk that the wrestlers that were aboard this, failure, the plane that had mechanical failures, were told to go back to the hotel room. And at that point, it's like, well, if you're WWE, why? And in a normal situation, if I was on a plane here, I would just get on another fucking flight, maybe a couple hours later, but I'd get another flight. So there's so much that's happening in so many different accounts. It's crazy. It honestly is. And the fact that Saudi Arabia now owes WWE this money, allegedly, there's a lot of wrestlers that are really unhappy with Vince, the way he handled the situation. There's a lot of wrestlers that now just straight up don't want to go back to Saudi Arabia. So while they're still under this contract, I'm interested to see where this goes and what's going to happen come the next time they have to go.
Continuing the Ringside News article, ringsidenews.com, everybody. It said Vince McMahon ordered that the Saudi Arabian feed for Crown Jewel be cut off in the middle of the broadcast. We had previously reported that this was said Vince McMahon had a disagreement of some kind. The prince in Saudi Arabia was reportedly very upset that Vince cut the feed. This is when he ordered that superstars be taken off their flight before it was about to leave. Well, the other thing is, once you're on that plane, you've already crossed customs. If you get off that plane, you have to go back through customs and all kinds of different things in an airport to like that. Obviously, you come back to the Americas. This is a situation where, like Larry Dallas had said, that they don't have control. It is the Saudi government, and it is what they want done. You know, anything you don't want you to leave, you're not going to fucking leave. Obviously, it becomes a much more bigger political issue, and when the U.S. Embassy gets involved and it becomes an international incident, all of a sudden, I guarantee that's why. Oh, yeah, we'll let them go. We already had bad things. Smitty, when you were reading about this and checking this out, did it further validate anything to you that WWE should probably try to opt out of the Saudi Arabia contract now, especially since they're not being paid for the events that they've been to?
Yeah, I've always had the my opinion was more so like after the whole first thing before the first Saudi show, that's what should have been a red flag for them to pull out, and this just kind of further validates that. You say there's money owed. They pretty much were held hostage, per se, and like everything's been downhill since with the Saudi deal since day one, and it's not. It don't seem like it's getting any better at this point.
It's like this Saudi deal just pulled a real Titus O'Neil. Like it comes out of the gate hitting hard, and then just trips, falls, and slides right under the fucking ring, and that's where you're at. And then all of a sudden you see Hornswoggle.
And it's only 2 fucking years into this thing.
This is their fourth. This is their fourth show. Yeah.
Which when they brought up owed money for previous events, I was like, they've only had like 4.
Yeah.
That means they only got paid for the first one right now, probably.
Maybe even the first 2. Maybe
But now, so what my understanding of this is then Saudi did not give WWE all this money. Saudi was like, "Hey, we want to finance this deal, so they got to make monthly payments, and they're behind." Like, I don't.
Well, it's probably per show. Like, we'll give you this. Where this deal is going to be a grand total of this amount of money
on top of the money they gave them initially.
Here's the down payment, and then we're going to give you every show that you do. We're going to give you this is because they're not just going to drop the money to them right off the bat. No fucking one. That government probably doesn't have that kind of money. It was like $1 billion deal, $20 billion,
multi-billion-dollar deal.
Yeah.
Over what, 10 years?
Over 10 years. They were supposed to do 2 shows for 2 shows a year for 10 years. And obviously there was probably, here's the down payment, and we'll give you so much money after each show. And that's what WWE's booking these shows on. There's a reason Goldberg and Undertaker was an event last year. There's a reason they had Tyson Fury and for this one.
And Hogan and Flair.
Yeah,
originally it was supposed to be slated to be Taker, but Taker pulled out last minute or something like that.
Ben says the whole thing stinks, and I hope WWE doesn't go back, mainly for talents and personnel safety. And yeah, that's what it comes down to. Is there were people being held there because of this. So that being said, it did lead into possibly one of the best SmackDowns in recent memory, in recent years, definitely since they came on Fox. And it gave us the first shot, the first fired shot, because during the Crown Jewel event, there was an ad that ran that said Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT Survivor Series. Brent says 300 to 500 million is one of the reports he saw that said it was that's a lot of money.
That's half of what the deal was worth.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll find out where they're supposed to be going. Like I said, it may have been multi-billion. If it's multi-billion,
that was multi-billion.
Before we move on to SmackDown, I have a question for you guys about the whole Saudi situation. How does this affect your talent going forward? Like, what about these guys that were on the fence? Like, is this like the straw that broke the camel's back, and now these guys are going to leave because of this? Or, like with the option of having other places to go now, if you're unhappy with WWE, is this the event that made you say, fuck it?
No, because some people want the money grab.
And no, I think it would have to. They'd have to see how it played out. Like, come the next event, okay, I don't want to go. So, what are the repercussions if I don't go? And if one way or another,
Well, your repercussions are you'll be taken off of TV because it's in your contract that.
Then if
they're
going to
start throwing it in people's contracts that they
Yeah.
have to do these shows.
I would bounce. I mean, if it were me, that's my life is worth way more than that.
This report coming from WrestleTalk.com said WWE, and this was from 8 months ago, but in regards to the money for the Saudi deal, WWE released their fourth quarter and full year results for 2018 this morning and will be holding a full earnings call 11 a.m. WWE held 2 shows in Saudi Arabia last year with the Greatest Royal Rumble in April and highly controversial Crown Jewel in November. Despite the controversy, WWE looks to have made nearly $100 million from the 2 shows combined. With a 10-year deal with Saudis in place, it looks like it could be a very healthy investment. The total in other for the final 3 months of 2018 is $63.5 million, which is up a staggering 42.9% from the same period in 2017. We can assume that WWE made around $40 to $45 million from Crown Jewel alone. That's me. So that being said, if they're making about
shut up, Mikey. Mikey's talking.
Huh? Yeah,
shut up, Mikey. Mikey's talking.
If they're making that on the front end, and it's 2 shows a year, and you're getting about $100 million, that is $1 billion. And at the same time, then we heard it was multi-billion dollars, hence why the stock prices went up. Nas, I actually wanted to ask you about that before we move on. You actually invest in WWE stock.
Yes, I do.
When all this stuff was going down Thursday into Friday, did the stock drop at all?
I didn't look at it, so even if I saw it now, I wouldn't know how much it dropped from the daily or the weekly.
Okay.
But the last time I did check it, they had gone down. It was like 7.5%, but had gone back up to like negative 2.5%. So I mean, it's a slow climb, but it's a huge drop because about 2 months ago they were up about 10%. So.
All right. So because of all these travel issues, and obviously certain superstars didn't go to Saudi Arabia, Sami Zayn being one of them, he can't perform because of his religion. And his heritage. Daniel Bryan didn't go, obviously, because Daniel Bryan does not believe in the Saudi government stuff, and he's one of the people that speaks up, and he has not been on a single one of those. That's part of the reason why I believe he lost that title in the first place to AJ Styles, because AJ was able to go and defend it. So SmackDown was up in the air. The majority of the people aren't going. There was you start hearing rumblings. Oh, okay, they're bringing some NXT people. Maybe we'll see something cool happen, so on and so forth. And sure as shit, that's what you got. You got possibly one of the best episodes of SmackDown in a very long time, to the point where it drew an amazing rating jump. Now, granted, last week's ratings was up against a World Series baseball, possibly clinching game. Also, they were on FS1. They weren't on Fox. So last week's SmackDown number was only 888,000 people, which was less than what which was less than what AEW did, which was 963,000 people. So there was a lot of shit talking about that. And then the DVR numbers come out, and you see there's another 800,000. But it was still low, right? Well, this week, SmackDown came back with a 2.5, their third highest rating since being on Fox, and gave us an amazing episode, kicking off with Lesnar coming out saying that he wants revenge to Rey Mysterio for beating the shit out of him with a chair. And then Vince McMahon, who was in Saudi Arabia, said that he couldn't give it because SmackDown superstars are on SmackDown and Raw superstars are on Raw. And what kind of horse palaki is that, says Paul Heyman. And you have to agree, because now we're coming to Survivor Series. How are we going to mix these shows?
It is palaki. It really is.
Goddamn palaki. Mm-hmm. So, because of that, Brock Lesnar quits SmackDown, and he's going to go show up on Raw to find Rey Mysterio, which fixes your 2 big champions on one show thing.
Yep. I expected a backstage trade.
That makes sense why Bray wasn't traded in the beginning. Like we all said, like if they're going against each other, why aren't they? But credit where credit is due. You know, when you guys were talking about the shows, you said that there was a mix, like they were still mixing. Well, they were only mixing on the draft shows. That's it. You never saw Bray show back up on Raw after the 2 draft shows. You never saw Seth on SmackDown. So there's while it's only been a week and a half, really, they did stick to their guns, and so Heyman's stuff comes out, and it makes sense.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, and then you send Heyman out there to make sense of the situation, and he did a great job.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, this is actually fucking believable.
Yeah, and that's exactly how it came across. So yeah, Brock quit. And then Bayley was defending her SmackDown Women's Championship against Nikki Cross. After she beat Nikki Cross, Shayna Baszler comes in from the audience, pushes Sasha Banks into the ring post, goes in, puts a nice little move there on Bayley, and then drops a fucking knee to Bayley shortly after that, holding up the NXT Women's Championship, essentially firing the first shot at in this war. But again, it's all from behind. Nobody knew this was happening. Then they come back from commercial, and now Pat McAfee's on commentary instead of Aiden English. And Pat McAfee's an NXT guy.
And Pat McAfee is awful.
And Pat McAfee...
Pat McAfee's not even an NXT guy. He's on an NXT pre-show panel.
That's an NXT guy. Sorry, he's still an NXT guy. If you want to nitpick, go ahead and nitpick.
I get they were short-staffed, but he was god-awful.
He's a cornball.
I don't...
Yeah.
Reminds me of like some old-school redneck with a, slight sense of humor.
I will be very honest about this. I will never care about a thrown-together commentary team. It'll never destroy or help a show to me. I mean, it could help, but I won't harp on it enough to say, oh, this fucked me up.
Oh, I understood.
Yeah.
It was still terrible, though.
So then Sami Zayn's cutting a backstage promo where he's saying, no NXT guys better step to him, and he turns around and he sees Matt Riddle, the king of... the king of meh to me. And Keith fucking Lee, Limitless Keith Lee, who I fucking love. I'm actually okay with them as a tag team, by the way. So Sammy's like, check it, I've always been NXT. And he opens his shirt and it's all black. And they're like, what? He's like, I was eating in the car and I'll go get it now. You don't have to follow me. You don't have to follow me. Sami Zayn takes off running. They chase him out into the crowd. No real major pops for these two, which, I mean, there was a couple bro chants, so on and so forth. And they beat the shit out of Sami Zayn. After that, we do a Miz TV, and Miz announces that there's stuff going on, and Tommaso Ciampa comes out. And then Miz is like, yeah, people have always said they wanted to see Miz versus Ciampa on the mic. And I was like, no one's ever said that.
I'm like, where did that come from?
Yeah, that was new. He goes, but we can go face-to-face right now, and we can have a match. And then they have a match, and Tommaso Ciampa beat the Miz after using the fairy tale ending. After that, Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville are in the ring because they're about to fight Carmella and Dana Brooke. And no one's coming out for Carmella's entrance music. Well, it cuts to the back, and the EST of NXT, Bianca Belair, is beating the absolute living fucking hell out of Dana Brooke, and she's already knocked out Carmella. Then she does a press slam to Carmella and tosses her over the fucking luggage in the back. Then it cuts to the arena where Mandy and Sonya seem very confused, only to hit one of the greatest entrance music in wrestling today, Rhea Ripley's. And Rhea Ripley comes out with Tegan Nox, and they say they are going to be Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville's opponents. Well, that was basically a fucking squash match.
Yeah.
They beat the absolute shit out of Fire and Desire. As a matter of fact, they looked like they were fired and no longer desired. After that, you see Daniel Bryan in the back looking at Triple H and Shawn Michaels, and he goes, if you want to bring this to us, let's go. We could take this out in the ring. Triple H gets real close to him, and the crowd is chanting, yes, yes, yes. They want to see this. And then slightly in the back, you see Shawn Michaels taking off his jacket.
Greatest tease ever.
And then Triple H goes, you know what? I'm in my suit. I didn't bring my gear. I don't like fighting in suits, but I know someone that is ready to fight you. And, of course, it shows Shawn Michaels still in the back with his jacket off. And he goes, oh, it's cold in here. I better put this back on.
That's the greatest tease ever.
And then he goes, I got the champ. And boom, Adam Cole comes out with the NXT title. And Daniel Bryan says, that's fine. We can do this. I'll fight Adam Cole. But if we're going to do it, let's do it right. Let's put the NXT championship on the line. Now, for many people, that was I know how this is going to end. And it did end that way. Because the NXT championship on the line on SmackDown was not going to go to Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan wasn't moving to NXT.
But...
However, the match that those guys put on was spectacular. And even more than
My penis not soft
more than that, when Adam Cole came out, he got the proper pops.
Yes.
The boom happened. Everyone did the boom, and the majority of the people did Adam Cole, baby, which is great because now this is your most watched most eyes and most watched show on your network television programming. It's definitely beating NXT in the ratings. It's definitely beating Raw in the ratings, especially with this 2.5, and Raw only pulling a 2.1 this week. So Fox has SmackDown in more homes with more eyes, and more people are watching it. And you just put over heavily your Wednesday product that's going up against the new kid in town, AEW Dynamite. Though Nas did make a really good point. This was kind of a burial for the SmackDown roster. And I say kind of. You want to get people from behind? That's fine. You know, Shayna Baszler, Bianca Belair, those are women attacking the other women from behind. The squash match, a little much to me, even though it was Mandy and Sonya. It's still a little much to me.
Yeah, but
the Ciampa Miz thing was kind of
Ciampa and Miz. I understand that Ciampa's one of your biggest guys on NXT, but again, it was still a decently fought match. Miz didn't look too weak. The Adam Cole Daniel Bryan match was spectacular. They both looked really strong, no matter how it ended.
And Adam Cole went over clean. As clean can be.
Very. Now that being said,
I like to use Panama Sunrise again. They're letting him use that again.
Brent commented, NXT. The invasion I've been waiting to see for a few years now. Survivor Series will be fire. How did you now? So you mentioned that Nas, that you mentioned that this seemed like a burial of the SmackDown talent. Is there a way that they can recover from this? Like maybe some of them go to NXT and get a match and get a win there,
I mean, if they do it that way, sure. But like the squash match with Fire and Desire. And I get it was Rhea Ripley, and she's like made to be this badass on NXT television. But the thought here, psychology-wise, is if you are on SmackDown, you are on the main roster. So you should be, I mean, you don't have to be leaps and bounds better than people in NXT, but you should have the edge on people in NXT. So what you're expecting to see is like a really competitive match with the girls from SmackDown going over. So it was a nice little twist that the NXT girls did. But it made me think, okay, so why are Mandy Rose and Sonya on SmackDown, but Rhea Ripley's not? She just, literally picked Mandy Rose up and made her tap.
So, Smitty, Renee was making a very valid point during this, though, saying that there was no preparation ready for these two women. They were expecting to go against Carmella and Dana Brooke. And then now they're getting two of the biggest stars in NXT right now. Tegan Nox with her return, especially with the angle that went over with the Kabuki Warriors that was on NXT this week. And Rhea Ripley being one of the largest names coming out of NXT,
also
period.
Transitioning from UK as well.
So Rhea Ripley being one of the biggest names out of NXT, period, right now. So Renee Young's meant giving all the fucking excuses in the world, while Pat McAfee's obviously going, nope, these are just the best fucking women ever. And Tom Phillips is playing definitely the mediator between those two. Did that give any sense of salvage to Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville? Or is it just to the point where, I mean, we never really took Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville seriously anyway?
I'm on that second statement. We never really took them that seriously anyway. And nor did we really take Carmella or Dana Brooke seriously with the whole Bianca Belair thing, which set up this whole thing.
Oh, my God. Carmella's acting in that was awful.
I could see the little birdies flying around her head.
When I originally said, I felt like Raw got the better half of the draft, the women's division was one of my biggest points about it. The women's division in SmackDown does not seem that strong. So these NXT women coming in here and just beating the dog shit out of them, I feel like it validated the point when I said the SmackDown didn't get the better part of the draft.
Nick, so for you, you're watching this and you're seeing that the NXT people go over everything. Obviously, the one we're mainly focusing on right now is the squash match. But was it something to where it was like, hey, we have to look this good because you need to believe that we might be able to win something at Survivor Series? Like, we had to come out this strong? Or is it, this is Triple H booking this show, so of course he's putting his babies over?
No, I didn't think the Triple H factor. I thought that it was more so people are familiar with NXT, but I don't think the extreme casual fan, maybe you'd call them, are familiar. So if you put NXT on SmackDown and you bring these guys out and they, half of them win and half of them lose. Why do you really give a shit that NXT is going to be at the Survivor Series? Because, like, Nas said, NXT is supposed to be looked at as maybe like a developmental and this and that. I don't really look at it like that anymore. And I know we're different because we watch this all the time. I don't feel like it's so much developmental because their talent is on par, if not better, than what you're seeing on SmackDown and Raw. But the average fan who only watches Raw, SmackDown, one or the other, both, they need to know who NXT is. And they need to know that NXT is going to come out and they're going to have the opportunity to kick somebody's ass, whether it's Mandy Rose or Daniel Bryan or The Miz or whoever. So like you had mentioned, it's really good for ratings because now if I wasn't watching NXT, I'm going to go watch NXT next week because I want to see, number one, I want to see these guys wrestle. Number two, I want to see if SmackDown has a retaliation. So I think it was definitely meant to make NXT look strong.
I don't think SmackDown will have a retaliation. I think because NXT is on USA and Fox may not let SmackDown Superstars be on a USA show.
Do you think that this invasion was supposed to more be on Raw than SmackDown then? Or
See,
it was forced because of the travel issues?
I think it was forced. I think this story wasn't just thrown together. This is something they were planning on doing.
Right, of course.
Yep.
So obviously,
There's
you
the
would
promo
think it
that
was on Raw
Crown
because
Jewel.
if I was an executive at Fox, I'd be pissed that you just buried my show with guys from a USA show, especially like, lower tier. But then, probably the ratings came out and they're like, okay, we're cool with it.
The B show got buried by the C shows. What you saying?
Well, I mean, essentially, I'm just saying, like in
ratings, the A show.
Yes, correct. And we've been saying it for years that NXT is better than anything the main roster's been putting out, and it's been true since Triple H took over. So, I mean, I don't see it as a secondary show at all, but I'm saying in the grand scheme of things, even if you're a casual fan, it's, Raw, SmackDown, NXT.
Mm-hmm. Joe said that Fire and Desire are glorified jobbers, which, we can't even argue that right now. That's what they've been seeming to us for a long time. Smitty, but does this then put the notion in your head that maybe you also need to watch Raw now to see if NXT does anything with that?
Yeah, because if WWE is smart, they'll strike while the iron's hot. NXT invades SmackDown. Raw's right around the corner. Invade Raw. And then at that point, if you're really going to start to build toward the Survivor Series and make it count, make it matter, make you invest into it, see a SmackDown or Raw retaliate at NXT. And just, honestly, this is Survivor Series. They're going to start promoting it. This is the only time of the year that all brands go head-to-head. They're probably going to push it. They've been pushing it for the last, 3-4 years now?
Right. Now, I'll be very honest. If you say the only time, you're kind of fucking yourself. If you say the final time this year.
But they put every Survivor.
I understand that, but I'm talking about marketing. I understand exactly where you're coming from and where they're going from. But they've had the wild card rule. I don't think they can even anyone in their marketing department say we can't say this is the only time. We can say this is the final time in 2019, the final time this decade. Dude, if I'm pushing anything, that's what I'm pushing. The final time in this decade that WWE, that SmackDown will fight Raw, that NXT will be involved. This is the final time Survivor Series this decade. I'd be like, whoa, that's your push right there.
You also say first time Raw, SmackDown, and NXT.
Right, they can say that as well.
But there's different ways to market this, but they're going to market it, and they're probably going to say the only.
And but it's true.
But
so does this now, Nick?
They have to strike with iron's hot, honestly, and make this story count.
Nick, we this possibly obviously gets people to watch Raw. How do you think that there's going to be a huge ratings jump for NXT? I mean, let's be very honest. I don't want to. The viewership for NXT and AEW were down significantly on Wednesday, but they were also going up against Game 7 of the World Series.
Yep.
NXT pulled out 580,000. AEW pulled out 789,000. Let's go by the week before. No, 2 weeks before when there was no World Series to contend with. 712,000 viewers that NXT had. Do we possibly see a jump back into the millions after them being so over there on Fox, with like 1.0 is still 1 million viewers. Could we possibly see that kind of jump from them being on SmackDown and looking so strong?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think it would be much more than that, but I can definitely see them getting back to 1 million viewers. Especially obviously because ain't going to be any sports on, and I'm so sorry, but Game 7 of any sport, especially baseball, is going to dominate. I'm just saying.
Baseball and hockey are the best Game 7s in the fucking world. Overtime hockey in Game 7.
Yeah.
And especially as close as that game was for a while.
Right.
Like,
until that. I mean, they didn't blow out the fucking game until the final inning. That's when,
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, taking away from the ratings and NXT possibly, seemingly burying the SmackDown people, Smitty, is this the best episode of SmackDown you have seen, and if so, in how long?
Also, it's the best episode of SmackDown I've seen since they moved to Fox. I've not been impressed by SmackDown thus far since it's moved to Fox.
Why?
I understand they want the whole sports feel and sports thing, but I still feel like they're trying too hard. In the words of Joe, I want my wrestling to be wrestling, and it just doesn't seem like a wrestling show since it's been moved to Fox.
Why? Because there's wrestling on it. The only difference is you had Cain Velasquez and Tyson Fury on there helping promote a WWE Crown Jewel pay-per-view.
And I think that's what it is. Like, since it's been all about this Crown Jewel promotion, and this is the best thing I've seen. I think this more the Crown Jewel thing is over. I'm looking forward to see where they go from here.
All right, Nas, how did you feel about the show? Best SmackDown and how long?
I don't know how long, but it's definitely the best SmackDown in a long time. Yeah, I mean, just the way it was done, the way it was teased, the way they ended the show, like the way they tied it all together. I mean, it was a solid show from top to bottom.
I agree. That storytelling was spectacular. That's something we didn't even talk about. What an amazing point by you, Nas.
Yeah, and I mean, and if Triple H was really running the show like everyone said he was, I mean, bravo, sir, bravo. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it was a good show.
Nick, same question to you. Best episode of SmackDown on Fox, or is it the best episode you've seen in a long while? And if so, what's the last time you can remember really enjoying a whole episode of SmackDown?
Best episode on Fox, best episode of the year for me.
Oh, yeah.
There was somebody that Brent in the comments had said he's been waiting a few years now for a Survivor Series like this. Ultimately, he's probably been waiting for an invasion like this. We haven't seen anything like this other than Survivor Series, so I knew that it was coming. But the fact that, number one, you brought NXT into the equation, sweet. Number two, you had them invade SmackDown no matter the circumstance, whether Saudi Arabia existed or not. Awesome. The storytelling, like he had mentioned, top to bottom, was great. I didn't mind the fact that they buried the whole roster. I really didn't. Do I think it was a great idea? In the grand scheme of things, maybe not, but it didn't bother me at all, and I don't think that it's going to bother them in the long run at all. But so, yeah, man, top-notch. One of the best, if not the best SmackDown of the year.
I'm going to say this is the best episode of SmackDown for me since the premiere on Fox. I thought the Fox premiere was a wonderful episode top to bottom. Outside of the ending with Brock and Kane, because it seemed weird, right? And the Kofi loss and things like that, where it's still kind of burnt in there, but it's only that Kofi loss only sucks royally if Kofi doesn't get another shot at redemption. And currently, with Brock leaving, it doesn't look like Kofi's going to get any type of shot of redemption, but it does not change the fact that he might be able to do something for the Universal title. So I thought that premiere up until that final match and final segment post of it was spectacular. I thought, and we all talked about it, it was an amazing show. It deserved the fucking 4 million, 3.8, I think, rating that it had gotten. And this was better than that. So, yes, I fully agree that this is the best SmackDown episode of this year. best SmackDown episode in a very long time. And that's just trying to go from the top of your head. And when you go from the top of the head, if something's not fully sticking out, it's not fully sticking out. You know? What's up? How you doing? Just the tip.
That's what she said.
Hey, you them saying. However, then you go back to stuff that happened earlier in the week because NXT was making noise in the beginning of the week for something way worse. Around, I believe it was Sunday. This all started Sunday.
Yeah, about Sunday or Saturday last week.
Saturday night, Sunday morning, something like that. Jordan Miles dropped a tweet regarding a shirt that he had for NXT. And he states that in a tweet, oh no, sorry, this is the wrong one that I clicked. In post he deleted
here, actually.
So Jordan Miles dropped a tweet that said, I will not be...
I'll keep posting until my voice is heard.
Yep.
I'm not sorry for anything I say or do. Representation is important. If this is Vince McMahon and Triple H's quote-unquote vision of me, then this is a slap in the face of every African-American performer, fan, and supporter. That's the original tweet.
Yep. I'm looking at it as well. And then it has a photo of the shirt that he has, which is a smiling face, red lips. The name Jordan Miles looks like the white teeth. It's on a black T-shirt. A lot of people then get on social media and start using the hashtag for the culture and begin supporting him, saying that this is a Sambo thing. I believe that's how
Sambo doll.
Sambo doll.
Yeah. And how it looks like that and how
Sambo's how it's
Sambo,
pronounced.
yeah. And how it's a very horrid thing that was used against black people. Same thing as like doing blackface and things like that, because every time someone did blackface, yeah, they were doing the same type of thing. And agreed. Fucking horrible. However, this is 2 months after this shirt dropped.
See,
and this happened. I'm not saying that he wasn't upset 2 months ago. I'm not even saying that there's a statute of limitations that is set for being angry about something like this.
I'm angry with a lot of African
I
Americans.
actually have a theory on this.
All right, well, hold on. So 2 months later, you come out swinging about this. But not only did you not say anything regarding this, nobody in the African American community said anything about this. As a matter of fact, when the shirt was first posted, Walt and I were looking at friend Devin from Knockouts and 3 Counts. He had made the post, and he goes, if WWE is going to do racist shit like this, I'm not going to be a part of it. And Walt and I are looking like, what are they doing? And we're just looking at the shirt, and we're not like really figuring out, like, I don't understand. And then we see the post by Devin where it's comparing the shirt to the Sambo doll, and we're like, oh, now I see what the problem is.
Yeah,
and that becomes an automatic problem, and in no way negates the feeling of Jordan Miles. Like, the minute you realize something, he may not even have realized it right away. He's like, oh, that's not the fucking shirt. I said I wanted it. It was on a white one. Because he admitted, like, WWE drops a statement saying, we asked him about this shirt. He said it was okay. And then he said, yeah, I said it, but it was on a white shirt. Now, is WWE... I'm going to ask all three of you, yes or no. But I'll give my answer to it, and I want you to explain on your side. And Smitty, we will start with you. But was WWE trying to be racist with this? And my first answer is no. Now, I say no because of a few things. We have a store on Pro Wrestling Tees, prowrestlingtees.com/BDRcast. Sorry for the plug. On the store, when we're submitting designs, it states black shirts sell 90% better than any other colored shirt on the site.
What do you mean colored?
African American.
I was gonna say that.
Any other color of shirt on the site. Well played.
We're in a hot topic right now, motherfucker.
So, that being said, in the email that was sent, it showed that Triple H wanted the black shirt, Road Dogg said it probably looked better on a gray shirt. The design that they showed him, he said, was on a white shirt. And I'll be very honest. Outside of straight white lettering, I do all of my own designing type things on a white background, and then I throw it on a black background to see if it still translates. But it just comes across better. You can look at it on a white background. And then of course you go into the type of shirt. Like maybe I could do this shirt, see what it looks on this. So I do not think WWE is being blatantly racist. I don't think WWE was even trying to be racist or even going, check this shit out. What are we gonna sneak in here? One of the teeth also has a rope. No. They're 100% just going, hey, we got this guy smiling a lot on NXT. We're going to make a shirt where it's like his name and a smile type thing. And black sells better. Sorry, it does. Vinny knows.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Damn it, no, I don't. I just thought about that. I just told my people by accident.
That's fine, man. Whatever. Go ahead, Sam Jackson. The Django Unchained reference.
I count 6 bullets, nigga.
So no, but at the same time, and Mark Henry said this on Busted Open, if there were better checks and balances in place in the WWE hierarchy, maybe someone in a minority, Latino, African American, anything, could have been like, hey, that kind of looks like this. Maybe we shouldn't do that. It does.
I think that's what happened here. Is 2 months later, somebody was like, oh, shit, that looks like this, and then pointed it out to other people, which, again, not taking away the fact that it is what it is. But I don't think WWE would have left that shirt up for 2 months if they blatantly knew it was racist.
Right. So, Smitty, do you feel that WWE was being racist with this, or it was a whoops, this slipped through the cracks, holy fucking shit, can't believe you didn't catch this?
I believe it wasn't blatantly racist. I believe that it was one of those things that they didn't realize what they were doing at the time. And with Jordan Miles approving of it, his statement was it was sent to him, the design was sent to him on white. And I think there was a lot of stuff lost in translation and it just blew up way worse than it should have. And I'm not trying to like say that they're you all know I've had my issues with how African Americans are represented within the WWE in general. Mm-hmm. And I don't think this was just one of those instances where it was done purposely.
Did it offend you? Did you see
the shirt?
that?
No, when I saw the shirt, I was like, oh, this is...
Immediately you thought of...
Yeah, I thought of Sambo.
Sambo.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so, immediately, 2 months ago, when you saw this?
I didn't, my first time seeing the shirt was with the tweet. I don't go on to WWE shop as much because I feel like I can't afford it most of the time.
We had a conversation when all these shirts dropped. It was a huge thing on how horrible these fucking shirts were.
And how basic they were.
We said they were basic. The ones I saw were, the basic ass Matt Riddle and Keith Lee ones. It was the people that were pretty much getting pushed.
That T-shirt was in there too.
Yeah,
it was actually before the higher names as you're scrolling down.
I just barely.
So it's not so much that you didn't see; it's that you didn't pay attention to it, and that was my point about this. Is no one fucking paid attention until he brought this out 2 months later. Like Nas had said, it very well could have been someone going, dude, look at this, look at that. And then he goes, holy shit. So the original tweet by him, by Jordan Miles, came out at October 26, 10:32 p.m. And then and that's the one where he said they will regret making this hashtag for the culture, and just a photo of the shirt. And then October 27th, 4:55 a.m., so 8 hours later, is when he put out the I will keep posting this until my voice is heard tweet still with the shirt. So, Nas, we obviously went through all this and we saw all of these things. Good friend of the show, Stefan, said he doesn't think WWE is blatantly trying to be racist either. Also, Stefan, glad to see you're feeling well. He wasn't feeling too well at work the other day. And Mike Bear Napper said he agreed. Don't think WWE is being blatantly racist with this. So now as we're seeing this, it's popping out. Obviously, they pulled it off the store shelves, like the store like that. Even firing a small shot of shade at him saying none of these shirts were sold. Granted, it's also saying that none of them are in circulation. You won't see a person wear this shirt at all in any way, shape, or form. But it also goes to show that not a single fucking person bought a Jordan Miles shirt. So again, wasn't really making waves. If there was a bigger name star, if that was a Velveteen Dream shirt, right? And Velveteen Dream smiles a lot. And
it never would have made the press.
Right, because it's a much bigger star.
It never would have came out. Yeah.
Is WWE a victim of hurry up and get all these shirts out?
Yes.
I'm asking Nas.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, that would definitely be part of it because that's one reason that it got overlooked. But I also think like this is kind of like a stepping stone. Like, okay, now they're going to double check all their designs before they send anything out because of this little mishap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a tough situation, and it looks one way on them because of the way they've booked people of color in the past. So it's a lot of people look at it like, oh, it's just WWE being stereotypical again. Mm-hmm. When, it might not be. I don't, I can't say for sure, but to me, it doesn't seem to be.
Nick, you're reading, all of this stuff is coming out, and like I said, we were trying to get something up before Raw. However, I'm very happy we didn't because we were reacting to reactions. And that was before things came out, like WWE saying, we went to Jordan Miles with this shirt design. He approved this shirt design. And to the point where he had put out all of these tweets defending himself and things like that. Like he posted the bottom half of the email from some guy who's probably fired now. Because the word was, it went back to Triple H that Jordan Miles is okay with this shirt. But Jordan was like, in the email, Jordan was like, I didn't say fully yes to this. I said, I mean, if that's what they want, I guess, but I'm still not fully comfortable with it. Which, one of two things is there. Either Jordan Miles is telling the truth because he didn't post his part of the email. He only posted the reply. Mm-hmm. Either, yes, he said he didn't feel comfortable, or he said, okay, whatever they want to do, giving the okay. So it looks like this middleman who was between Triple H and this superstar made it look like Jordan Miles said, okay, if that's the case, let's give benefit of the doubt to Jordan Miles for this. Remember, he's ACH from ROH and other companies. This isn't Jordan Miles is his NXT name. You're reading this, you're seeing that he possibly approved this, Nick. Does it take away the validity of his argument a little bit? Not taking away, I'm not saying does this take away from the possible racist undertones that this shirt has, but does it seem like maybe now you're using this to get your name out there?
There's so many different ways that I feel this can be looked at. I don't think, number one, that WWE meant for any type of backlash, racism. I don't think they had those intentions. I don't think that they thought it through. That being said, they should have better checks and balances. As far as Jordan Miles is concerned, I think when you're in that position and you're trying to make a better name for yourself where he's at with WWE, he may have been mildly offended when he first saw the shirt, but maybe he also thought maybe no one will even notice, or he sees the white shirt, maybe it'll go on a white shirt, even though when the fuck do you ever see a WWE superstar shirt, few and far between, on a white shirt, no matter the logo. But, for it to come out 2 months later and now you want to make a big stink about it, I don't know. I feel like if it were me, I would have pointed, if he immediately thought Sambo, blackface,
mm-hmm.
you should have said something. I'm sorry.
And if he did say something like, they would have pulled the shirt.
Yeah, and if he didn't like it, just, I don't like the design, whatever, then obviously they're going to go through it because they're going to do whatever the fuck they want. But if that is what you thought, if you thought of blackface immediately when you first saw the shirt, then you should have, if your morals and standards are that high, then you should have said something then. Do I think it's that they should have went through with it? I'm not saying it's not offensive or anything like that. I think they did the right thing by taking it down. I'm not taking sides here, but I think that he should have said something. And again, WWE, I don't think that they had those intentions. They do have that track record, like Nas had said, with their booking and this, that, and the other. But as far as the shirt goes, I don't think they had those intentions. Now that they see it, I'm glad they took it down.
So Jordan Miles also put out a tweet on the 27th, shortly after the big one. He goes, I've used this shirt as fuel. I knew this shirt existed, and my soul hasn't been able to rest properly since I've laid eyes on it. So 2 months before this.
Yep.
My voice will be heard, my true opinion will be heard, and my people will have their moment. Smitty, he seems to also be contradicting himself a lot with these tweets. So is that killing his case? Again, be very, very clear with this. That shirt may, while possibly accidental, definitely had racist undertones.
Yeah, once I saw that, absolutely.
Once it was put together.
I think,
and WWE removed it like that. Let's give credit where credit's due.
I think Nas put a post on our Facebook page about like the video about why the racial undertones were in that shirt.
Yeah, like he didn't fully understand it, so somebody explained it.
Is his argument losing credibility to you, Smitty?
At first it was, but then like if you go further in his tweets, he admitted that lots of stuff in his earlier tweets were made out of anger.
Mm-hmm.
And like he has blown this way more out of proportion. Like, I think the mountain has been made out of a molehill, but it's not a
mountain out of a molehill.
Because I think a mountain has been made out of a molehill, but it's still like anything that comes when it comes to race, it's a really sensitive subject.
Yeah.
His reactions at first, like his original reactions, yes, they contradict themselves because we all have acted out of anger at some point or another, and we do irrational things.
Yeah.
Or we'll say something irrational or something we really may kind of regret, or we may not regret it, but we regret the way we went about it.
So Jordan Miles, as you were stating later on Instagram, went to a post because on Instagram your posts can be way longer. I put a photo of himself, and it said this. He goes, my tweets yesterday were completely disrespectful and were unprofessional. I have offended a ton of people and used anger to fuel me. With that being said, I'd like to take this time and state and apologize for not giving a shit about what others think about me. The anger I have inside of me has been built up for years now. Call me what you want, but you'll never, ever be able to call me fake. I've been lied to, used, and often mistreated by others who I viewed as associates. I've tiptoed around, kept quiet, even took some L's when necessary. Emotionally charged up due to the shirt, which triggered past emotions. Excuse me, I farted. I'm never going to be sorry for being me, nor will I take back my words. I'm the damn professional wrestler in the world. I'm just reading it as he wrote it because some of this stuff is, you can obviously tell, was fast. I'm the damn professional wrestler in the world and universe today. My ribs are touching, and I'm tired of waiting. Time to snatch plates from those that have been eating far too long and always get second, while other guys like myself have to eat crumbs from the floor like an unwanted child. For 4 years, I gave my all to a promotion only to find out that you could only reach so high just as long as you didn't surpass certain people. In quotes, he put people. I never begged for anything. I never kissed no ass, nor did rub elbows with the right people to get ahead. I hustled, worked hard. I didn't call Hunter every day to get booked in New Japan. Shout out to New Japan Pro Wrestling. I earned it. I've always wanted to be the guy, and no one will allow me to be in that spot. I shall blaze my own trail to that spot, rather it be by approval of others or not. Today I shall continue to go the distance. Today I shall Lee moving forward. I don't know what that was.
They say lean, probably.
Lee. Lee moving forward. Today I shall rise up from my past ashes like a dark phoenix and promote change in this industry. Remember these words. I am the best in the world, and no man or woman will stop me from being honest. Go the distance. # miles ahead. # for the culture. And what he was mentioning in the other company was ROH, and the tweet that he put out for ROH said, fuck ROH too. They only allowed one African American to be the top guy, while guys like Cedric Alexander and Malcolm Valley, which is why can't I remember his fucking full name now?
I know you're talking about.
Yeah, other people should know as well. And myself had to chase the visible carrot stick. This visible carrot stick. Name another African American who has reached great heights in there other than this Uncle Tom, and it's a photo of Jay Lethal.
No, wasn't it MVP?
No, it was Jay Lethal.
Oh.
Yeah, Jay Lethal was the ROH twice, two-time
ROH champion, and also the longest reigning ROH champion of all time. He was one of the only two people to ever hold the ROH television world and television title at the same time.
So, obviously, anger, like you said, Smitty, this all fuels something. And the shirt was removed, and they might get a new one for it. Booker T made a response. Titus O'Neil made a response. A lot of guys are like, hey, this isn't the way to go. Fuck about it. Chill out.
Booker T went on and said this kid has possibly killed his career.
Booker T's actual quote is, did it look like blackface? Maybe. Some people on social media had said that, but there's a lot of negative people on social media that is looking for anything that they can possibly find to make racial. It happens all the time. Therefore, is it a racially driven concept of a T-shirt? For me personally, in 2019, I cannot think of the guys that went into it thinking, let's make a racial shirt about Jordan Miles. A lot of people may think that, but I just don't think their firestorm is worth going through it. It just isn't. Therefore, is it something that should have been discussed and talked about? Yes. But this going to social media crap is the worst thing that I have ever seen in my life. You could be working at Jack in the Box, and if something happened, you want to go to social media and talk about it. Your business at your job is your business, all right? It's not for the world to come in. I don't know when the last time someone on social media signed my check. Now you say, oh, just because someone on social media doesn't sign your check, now you shouldn't know what you're doing? They shouldn't know what you were doing? You're damn right. That is why. They have no reason to be in my life from a business aspect. He also called out Mile, referring to Jay Lethal as an Uncle Tom. He said, to hear this Uncle Tom crap, to call out Jay Lethal's name, I know Jay Lethal. Jay Lethal has put 20 years in this business, so he's no Uncle Tom. I've heard people call me an Uncle Tom. When they do call me that, I wish they would call me that to my face. Don't do it behind those characters. Don't do it behind social media. Don't do it behind a cloak of anonymity. Do it to my face, okay? Look, man.
I agree with the whole Uncle Tom thing. Like, I watched Jay Lethal since the beginning of his career. And like I say, right, this 20 years, and I remember him when he was Hydro in early ass Ring of Honor. He was just a fucking skinny spit fuck. And he's hustled.
Skinny spit fuck. That's adorable.
Lethal has hustled and grinded his way through 2-3 different promotions, never stepping foot inside what people consider the big leagues, and made himself a name. He's made himself a name, and pretty much, because call him Uncle Tom, like that's when at the first one, I'm like, okay, dude, you just now you pulling straws out, pulling strings out your ass.
So let's move on.
Well, real quick.
Okay.
For me, I think the biggest takeaway, just for me, is Jordan Miles is his own person. He's going to think what he wants and do what he wants, and he's entitled to do that. WWE, I feel like after all that's happened with, like Nas said about the booking and now the shirt and whatever, they definitely need to up their game when it comes to their checks and balances and making sure that the shirts and any type of accessories and any type of merchandise that's going out there is not only appropriate for the community but appropriate for the wrestler too, and they need to do a better job and not rush things.
Fair. Smitty, are you happy with the finishing off of this Jordan Miles thing? Keep talking for a minute about it between you guys. I'll be right back.
I don't think this thing is finished yet, to be honest. I think there's got to be something's going to be done, or something has to be done to make sure something like this doesn't happen again. And Miles has a lot of apologies he needs to make to certain people too. I understand he said he's angry. He doesn't. He feel like his voice needs to be heard, but he's at some points I think he's lashing out some of the wrong people.
Yeah, that knee-jerk reaction, it just, I get it if you're offended, but he had 2 months. Not one person bought that shirt. I mean, it probably, in my eyes, I feel like someone was like, hey, man, that shirt you got, man, you ever really think about that? And maybe it might have crossed his mind, but
and it had to be recently though too.
Yeah.
Only because he says in those tweets like the fire, the anger's been there for a while or whatever, but at the same time, like why did you wait 2 months to even bring it up? Why didn't you bring it up?
I think part of that is like Jordan Miles is not a big name in NXT or WWE by any means.
Yeah, but why wait 2 months?
Stop. Let me finish. When you're low on the totem pole, you step around eggshells. It's true, no matter, like, especially when you're in a position like he is. Like, you don't always have the luxury of being able to speak up.
But he's not in a higher position now than he was 2 months ago. He didn't sell a fucking T-shirt. He literally has, like, no standing in the company whatsoever when it comes to, like, merchandise.
Well, and if his morals and values are that important, then he should have put them in the forefront when this came out and not waited.
Yeah, that's my point. It's not like he came to superstardom and now he's airing his grievances. He is on the same level he was 2 months ago. Nothing has changed in his career except for this statement now. So my only question is, like, why would you wait 2 months to cause a shitstorm? You could have caused a shitstorm 2 months ago.
And if he didn't think it was racist at all when it first came out, I don't have a problem with that. Like, if he just now realized it and it clicked in his head, I got no problem with that.
Yeah.
But he could have went about everything.
I agree. I would agree that he did not go about this in the most professional way.
Yeah. All right. Now we'll move on. Boom. Wednesday night gave us some really good wrestling, and we're going to start off with the wrestling coming from where Jordan Miles is, and that is NXT. NXT kicked off in a weird way. Poppy was a guest performer, and she performed her song, which is fine. It's obviously doing a little bit of cross promotion. NXT has had other people perform for them before.
We're usually on takeovers. She's going to do it.
Yeah, usually on takeovers, but I think I've seen one on a regular NXT before as well. But this time now, Poppy then performs Io Shirai's music as she's coming down to the ring, which is weird to me because normally a babyface is the one that gets this type of treatment. Yeah. But Io got it, and so Io then came out and took on Candice LeRae. Io defeated Candice LeRae. Then after that, Finn Balor comes out and he cuts a promo stating, explaining what he did last week when he turned and he hit the Pele kick on Johnny Gargano. And he says, "This, I don't watch the wrestling business. The wrestling business watches me." And he states that he's going back to where he came from, back to basics, knocking it out, cutting a really good promo. After that, Bronson Reed defeated Shane Thorne. Then the women's tag team championships, the WWE women's tag team championships were on the line as the Kabuki Warriors took on Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai.
Team kick.
And Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai lost after Asuka sprayed the mist inside of Dakota Kai's face. Kairi Sane hit the insane elbow and then covered Dakota Kai. We'll talk a little bit about this match specifically because I really liked how it ended. But it then went into an all-out brawl to where everything was broken up by William Regal having everyone separated. He goes, "There's only one way to fix this out. War games."
War games.
Shut up. You sound like the NXT audience right now. You're trying to bury leads. So Regal announced that, and of course, the crowd pops for it. Cameron Grimes then comes out and defeats Tyler Bate. After Tyler Bate had punched Cameron Grimes the week before. So Cameron Grimes got a nice little win over Tyler Bate there. And then the Undisputed Era were in a tag team match. Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly in a non-tag team title match against Matt Riddle and Keith Lee. Fish and O'Reilly do go over. Things start breaking down there as well, obviously, with Adam Cole coming out. And then Ciampa comes out with the crutch, starts helping Keith Lee and Matt Riddle. And then as the NXT Championship is laying in the corner, Ciampa looks at it and says, "Goldie, you're going to have to wait a little bit. Daddy's going to war." So when this is first said, it seems like there's going to be 2 War Games matches. There's been announced that there's the Women's War Game match.
First ever.
With Rhea Ripley and Shayna Baszler as the team captains for it. But Nas made a point that maybe Daddy's going to war doesn't means that Ciampa won't be involved in NXT TakeOver. Maybe the war is the Survivor Series, where when Triple H was cutting his promo at the end of SmackDown, he said, "You wanted a war, you're gonna get it." Do you, Smitty, think that he's going to war means that a second War Games match, or do you think that it's a Survivor Series situation?
I think it's more of a War Games situation. I think because we get in the first ever female War Games, and if they want, like, if you want this takeover of War Games to be as big as Survivor Series, you need to go hard. And 2 War Games matches just kind of sets a hell of a bar for Survivor Series the next night.
But that's going to be your whole pay-per-view.
If you
do 2 War Games matches, I mean...
And maybe 2 others.
NXT pay-per-view is, what, 2 hours long?
Mm-hmm.
That's 2 War Games matches.
It may be a tag title match. Not a tag title match, but fuck no.
Here's my thought process on this. You have Survivor Series and not traditional Survivor Series matches.
Bragging rights matches.
In the traditional way that the Survivor Series has looked lately, it's Raw versus SmackDown, champion versus champion. So maybe some of these will be triple threat, maybe not. Maybe you'll see Adam Cole versus Brock Lesnar versus The Fiend. Maybe you won't. Maybe the Undisputed Era of Fish and O'Reilly take on the Revival and the Viking Raiders. I'd love to see that match.
You make our champions all together.
Roderick Strong, US versus Nakamura,
AJ Styles
versus AJ Styles. You know,
that would be dope.
Again, these are all matches that sound really good, but are you going to have your competitors 2 nights in a row? Especially, are you going to have your competitors in a fucking War Games match and then go into a Survivor Series match the next night? I mean, look, they can do it. The guys will do it. Do you think that, Nick, that this is going to be a War Games match? Or, hey, we need to chill, have a few matches and everything like this, and then move into Survivor Series? Nick.
Man.
It's
It's tough. That's a tough call. I feel like they're only going to have the women War Games match. Mm-hmm. They need to put that in the forefront. I want them to have 2. I would love to have 2 War Games matches and then all the triple threat matches you just mentioned and all of it. Give it all. But it's not going to happen.
Blow all over my face.
Right.
So 9 hours later.
So I think it'll be just the women's War Games match. You'll have like a tag title match, maybe the UK title, 1 or 2 others, and then we'll have either traditional Survivor Series matches or see some of these triple threats.
That's a really smart pull there for you, Nick. Great point, because obviously NXT UK has been featured quite a bit with Walter and going up against Kushida a couple weeks ago. Walter is your NXT UK champion. Now, so do you think that maybe you get a lot more NXT UK stuff pulled into this, so the NXT champions, the main show champions, can do Survivor Series things?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a smart play. I mean, you keep the women's War Game match. You have a Cruiserweight Championship match. You have a UK Championship match. You have your UK Tag Title match. I mean, there's a lot of different things they can do with it. And, I mean, they could even pull the women, do a women's tag team match on the card and have...
The NXT, the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, now, you know, like, I mean, there's many different ways to fill this card. How they're going to do it, I don't know. But... I mean, there's many different ways to shuffle people around here, especially when you have guys like Dijak and Keith Lee and Matt Riddle that are all like bigger name guys that don't have a title. So why can't they go to the Survivor Series match?
Fair. Smitty, this is starting to look, Survivor Series is looking a little bit like everything you said you were worried about when NXT was first going to USA. A lot of NXT major titles and major people being put into WWE pay-per-views, showing up on SmackDown. Look, Vince was in Saudi Arabia. Vince didn't have as far as we know, Vince didn't have much of a hand in the SmackDown episode.
My understanding that Vince was the first person to leave Saudi Arabia.
Then maybe he had all the hand in it. But that being said, so this is everything that you were worried about and had a fear of. The way it's beginning to set up, even going into Survivor Series, is it still worrying you? Or are you saying, well, at least they're making people look good, so it's not like this burial of NXT being shit and NXT is being changed?
Like the Survivor Series thing is the big X factor here. Because, like you said earlier, you got to make NXT look credible for Survivor Series.
Which they did on SmackDown.
Yeah, so is my more worry at this point is not what they do after Survivor Series is over. Do they go back and treat it like does NXT? Do you keep the momentum of NXT going after Survivor Series, or do you go back to trying to like keep these as 3 separate entities?
Well, they've stated that things need to be 3 separate entities just by Brock going to Raw and quitting SmackDown.
Yeah, but we'll see. Like you got this momentum. Like, this is a great This is a great promotion for NXT. Just to go, all is built is going into Survivor Series in general. And hey, and if you want to put some of these SmackDown and Raw guys on the War Games, maybe that can also give them a nice little push going into and after Survivor Series as well. I am still worried about some of the stuff like this, but the build right now is really good for it. So I'm just going to sit down and watch and figure out what
Holy shit, Smitty, did you just say you're going to sit back and enjoy and not worry about shit?
I'm always going to worry. But
where's that bell you guys used to ring?
We just fixed Smitty.
From now on, he'll be like Cleveland Brown. He'll just be boring.
Now.
Good for you.
WWE can't hurt me any more than it already has.
I mean, yeah, I guess that Sambo was the final shot. It's like, well, there it is. We're not just bringing back a dude to apologize for getting caught for being racist. We're also just going to accidentally be racist.
Yeah, just go ahead and call me a nigga already.
Use the promo code COLORED on Smitty's.
No. We don't need that type of WWE heat right now.
Now's a good time to tell you that
use the code hang out.
The thoughts and views and opinions expressed on podcast.
Disclaimer. Views and opinions of BDR.
Use the code hang out and watch the prices just drop.
I'm going to just put my scarf on.
Just so you guys know, that was an Owen Hart reference, not.
That's right. Very good. I'm glad you picked it up because I was like, man, I wonder if anyone's going to think of that or just think of like the, because after I said it, I was like, oh, there's the floor dropping out.
But that's racist because Owen was in the Nation.
Good call. You're right. I can't even argue it.
Man.
Oh, he was talking white guy.
So.
No, Crush was in there too.
Finn Balor, heel turn round the world, heel turn heard round the world, then comes back and cuts this promo. Nas, he says the wrestling business he doesn't watch the wrestling business watches him. He's obviously the big name that was brought over to NXT, very likely going to be the next heel to run with it. I could even see a Mania NXT championship win over Ciampa, possibly. But he's not doing the too sweet. He's using the bullet hands. He's
doing
he's
the original bullet.
Yep. He's Prince Devitt. He is that
Prince
character.
is back. Does this bring vigor and fire back to Finn? And does it renew your interest in Finn, or did you ever lose it? Because he even talked about having to lay down for what's supposedly the hottest thing in the company right now.
Because he got a new mask.
Yeah.
I've never lost interest in Finn Balor. I've always been the guy waiting for them to push Balor to the moon, and I was disappointed after he had the shoulder surgery because it seemed like he was destined for that big push that I think he always deserved. That being said, I am so happy that they turned him heel and brought him back to NXT because they weren't doing anything with him on the main roster, and he's such a good talent that I mean, why let it go to waste? So fuck it. We're going live on NXT. Let's bring Balor over there and make him the star of the show again. Only this time, we're going to Hollywood Hogan the fuck out of this. We're going to bring him in. Everyone thinks he's going to be a good guy. We're going to have the heel turn. And eventually, I think you'll see Finn take over Adam Cole's spot in the fucking Undisputed Era.
Nah.
Okay.
Especially after the reaction that Cole got on Friday. Because now they're probably thinking, oh, hey, like, this guy could do stuff on the main roster.
But at the same time, could fall victim the way Balor did. Nick, does Undisputed Era... So he makes a good point. There's obviously he's bringing the Bullet Club back. Balor Club, whatever. It's BC. He is the originator. Machine Gun Carl Anderson and Bad Luck Fale began Bullet Club in New Japan Pro Wrestling. They then brought in the Gallows, the Young Bucks, so on and so forth. Tamatongas. But it was Prince Devitt, Finn Balor. He turned on his tag team partner going heel, and then with help of Fale at that pay-per-view, that show is how the Bullet Club was formed, with him sitting on Fale's shoulders doing this.
The real
do
McCoy.
we see another stable in NXT, or do we slowly see Undisputed Era break up and Balor Club, Bullet Club, whatever they're going to call it, be the only stable? Or is it possible that this leads to another War Games match where Finn Balor and his stable take on Undisputed Era or something like that? And if so, who would you get? Give me people you would love to see with him, because he mentioned that he wants AOP. There was an interview that he did with Sports Illustrated that said they're not really doing anything with the Authors of Pain. He'd love to bring them back to NXT and be the guys behind him in his stable. Nick?
I like that idea.
Oh, my God. I love that.
When he said that, I was like, fuck yeah, let's do that. Because I know AOP, they ran shit in that tag division in NXT.
Until Paul Ellering ran and killed everything.
And so I would like that to happen. I don't think he's going to end up taking over for anybody in the Undisputed Era, unless, I guess maybe on some level I could see the whole group turning on Adam Cole so he could then leave and go to the main roster. I don't think that'll happen. And then kind of Finn just wiggles his way in. I don't think that'll happen, but
Kind of like a Bullet Club-esque.
I guess in my mind it's possible. I don't know, man. I don't know. There's so many different things you could do, but I do like the idea of him in the AOP. I want more people, though. I want a stable of like 5 guys. I want a little bit bigger of a stable. I love 5 guys.
Burgers.
Love them all.
I'll take a nice mayonnaise shot in the mouth. I had extra mayonnaise. Sorry.
But there's 3-man stables. That it's like a thing right now, unless you're Undisputed Area, and then you got 4 guys. But for a while, they were only 3 until they got...
Sanity.
Sanity had 4.
Yeah, well, a girl was involved in it.
Yeah, so...
Smitty, you had your hand up. Who do you want to see?
Honestly, if you really want to put a stable over at this point, use Finn Balor's popularity and what he's doing right now. Get the Forgotten Sons over with Balor. Have him take over the Forgotten Sons.
I guess my next question to that is, how does that make sense when they already have Jackson Riker as their leader?
Jax Riker's not a leader. Jax Riker's just a muscle there, pretty much. He doesn't speak.
He's the one running the show.
Yeah, like he's telling them what to do, and you got Wesley Blake and the other guy that I forgot because
Steve Cutler.
And Blake and Cutler. Butler? No, Cutler. Just doing what he says. That's already kind of.
But honestly, what are you really doing with the Forgotten Sons outside of them to being glorified jobbers for the most part?
What are you really doing with anybody?
So you take Balor and you got a War Games team right there and the Forgotten Sons, and you give the Forgotten Sons more credibility.
You want me to tell you what I want?
What?
I want Keith Lee to turn.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah.
Keith Lee's your big dude. He's your badass. He does the things in the ring. Oh, could you imagine?
Similar to like Balor.
When you saw him, especially, and it really came about after watching the match between Fish and O'Reilly, Riddle and Keith Lee. Keith Lee was running roughshod on them. When he was just beating the shit out of both of them at the same time. Keith Lee was being built up and made to look like a fucking beast. Triple H is really good at long-term storytelling. And planting that seed right there, possibly even Keith Lee and Matt Riddle versus whomever, and Keith Lee turning on Riddle, a la Prince turning on his tag team partner in New Japan to get a heel move. Because let's be very honest, while I am not a fan of Matt Riddle, people fucking love this dude. You
And the
turn
fact he
on
controlled
Matt
him.
Riddle, you got a heel turn.
Mm-hmm.
You get genuine heat. People will be really mad at Keith Lee. I think that is and plus Keith Lee, size and stature and everything, he moves way better than Bad Luck Fale in New Japan Pro Wrestling. But Prince, on top of being Devitt, Balor being held up by Keith Lee on his shoulder, a la Bad Luck Fale in New Japan, it's a great image to think of, and I think that is a really good, strong thing that could happen with it.
What about Dijakovic then, if that's the case?
Dijakovic is also really good, but it's Keith Lee's more the power. You know what I'm saying? Dijakovic, I mean, look, when those two matches, the 3 matches, fuck, I can't even say it enough. They were great.
Yeah,
right?
but Dijak is more finesse, whereas Keith Lee is more just brute strength.
Exactly, and I think that's a way better look, especially if you're playing it the way it seems to be played. At least to me, it looks like they're going a lot back to the past. Balor is saying, I keep almost calling him Devitt. Balor is saying it. So if you're going to pay homage to the past, to how everything started, and even when he turned heel, fucking Anderson goes on Twitter, welcome back, Prince. AJ Styles like, well. Like, everyone was excited to see this. So if you're playing a lot of the past...
Damn, my tongue actually tweeted too about that.
If you're playing into a lot of this stuff, I think Keith Lee going heel would be a great fucking look for him. And then maybe he even gets the North American title. It gives him a nice little rub. Let's move on to AEW, because AEW is setting up for Full Gear, which is
their first ever go home show is going to be Wednesday.
Yes, this Wednesday coming up, which means that we will be making our scorecard picks later in this week, and we'll be talking about the Full Gear pay-per-view on our next episode. But on Dynamite this week, they had quite a few matches, a contract signing, and a few things that went... Was that me? I farted. Yeah, it was me. No, it wasn't me. Hangman Page versus Sammy Guevara. Page won. Then there was Hikaru Shida versus Shayna. Shayna is a top prospect in the women's division that AEW signed to a 3-year contract, either kayfabe-wise, after this match. But Shayna lost to Shida. Shida was the one who almost had the match against Rio beat to go on and become the AEW Women's Championship. Then Santana and Ortiz attacked the Rock and Roll Express, who were showing off the brand new AEW tag team titles, which I'll get into a little bit on that. It was kind of weird that they were there. Best Friends and Orange Cassidy were in a triple six-man tag team match against guys Silver, Reynolds, and Marshall. It was the Rick and Morty. Sorry, whoa, holy shit, wow, what? Fucking I'm in Ricky Morton.
Yep.
A Rick and Morty type match where the Best Friends and Orange Cassidy dressed up as Rick and Morty. And they won. Went over. And then there was the contract signing. So the whole episode was played. Shivani was in the beginning at the airport with Cody Rhodes, and he rode, and they were telling stories in the limo. And he said, it reminds me of something with Dusty is you make them wait. You're the star. You're the talent. You make them wait. Because Dusty was... someone meet him for dinner, and he's like, all right, did you at the table? He's like, yeah. And he goes, that's what it is, kid. That's what it is. You go, you make them wait. You're the star. You're the champion. You're the man. So they wait for you because you're the guy to go in. So Cody was the one who came in after for the contract signing. And the contract signing, Jericho's like this. We don't have to make a mockery of the championship. We just shake hands, so on and so forth. And then he shook hands with Cody, and he went to go away like a normal person. Cody pulled him back, and he goes, I don't think I'm the guy you should be worried about. Your attention should be elsewhere. And it cuts to Sammy Guevara holding the camera saying, is this thing on? And Jake Hager, Guevara back there, start beating the shit out of Dustin Rhodes. And I'm really fucking. Was it just Dustin out there?
Just Dustin.
Yeah, it was just, and they beat the shit out of him, and eventually slamming his hand in the car to where it really injured the dude, to where he had to get a fucking cast put on it.
Yeah, broke his wrist.
And so Cody had to go out there and break it up, and then take him to the hospital. After that, the Elite of Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks took on Kip Sabian and the Hybrid 2, which is Angelico and Jack Evans. The Elite.
With Kip Sabian, right?
Yeah, that's Kip Sabian.
You said Kip Sabian first.
The Elite defeated Sabian and the fucking Hybrid 2, which is a weird fucking name for them. What a strange name.
The funny thing, I think they just threw a name on them because they've always been Jack Evans and Angelico.
Okay. The Librarian came out cutting a promo. Peter Avalon would come out cutting a promo, and then Moxley came out and just hit him with the dirty deeds, if they're even still calling that.
Paradigm Shift.
Paradigm Shift, yep. And he cuts a promo, a spectacular promo, talking about how that he's unsanctioned. He goes, "You don't want me to have a win over your golden boy. Well, everything that happens to Kenny Omega is on your hands at Full Gear." And then the final match of the night was the finals of the Lucha Bros versus SCU, Scorpio Sky, and Frankie Kazarian taking on, like I said, the Lucha Bros, Penta El Zero and Rey Fenix to become the first ever AEW Tag Team Champions. SCU goes over in a nice little roll up too. Like it's not like it was great finish to a match. That was also a really good match. So SCU are your first ever AEW Tag Team Champions. I am so 50-50 on AEW right now, it's ridiculous. When AEW wants to do things well, they fucking do things well. That tag team championship match was spectacular. Their women's match was the best women's match they have had, period, on the program, in my honest opinion. I liked watching that match. It was a great back and forth. Reminded me of what many of the women are doing in NXT, who obviously have more reps with each other. I thought the kickoff with Hangman and Guevara was was good. I definitely thought the contract signing was spectacular. It was a great way to put that storyline over.
I don't suck. You suck, Scavone.
Also, like the build up was like you say with Shivani going from the airport and being in a limo with Cody.
For someone that's
all that
50-50, you sound like you liked about 85% of the show so far.
No, I thought that as much as I love Orange Cassidy, I thought that whole thing was a straight up gimmick thing.
Oh, it was. And it was meant to be.
But
And that was meant
I understand
to be.
that, but it's way too early for that in my eyes, right? So I'm looking at you're a professional wrestling thing, right? When WWE did that back in the Attitude Era, WWE was doing that because they were losing money and they needed to bring in people. And so now you have this match. So now it's coming. Now it doesn't look like you're doing anything. AEW's been beating NXT in the ratings, right? So when I'm seeing stuff like that, it makes me think like, what are you worried about right now? Are you losing money? Are you not being as profitable as you want?
That's that Rick and Morty sponsorship.
That's fine, but again, to have that means you're losing money. You can't pay for it. WWE Nitro started doing that when they started losing to WWE in the ratings.
Yeah, they put Chucky
right.
in fucking.
So that's what happened with that, and then all of a sudden you're bringing in all these other stars and things like that. You know, Cole Malone, Dennis fucking Rodman. You're losing the ratings battle, so you're bringing in outside things because your content isn't good enough for just what you need to do. That's how I felt and how I took it, and it's week fucking 5, guys. Like, to me, I'm like, wow, so what's really going on? Now, at the same time, maybe it was just, hey, we want to throw a bunch of money at you. Cool. Perception, though. Then you have the fucking Elite match, right? I'm so over the fucking high spot fest of Young Bucks right now because the way I looked at them when they were getting all their shit, when people were like, oh, the Young Bucks are just this, this, and this, they started putting storytelling into matches, and it started making more sense. They're coming out as video game characters again. There's no video game influence in this. There's special entrances for these guys who are EVPs, right? Special entrances are usually reserved for things like pay-per-views, but they're getting it on their fucking AEW Dynamite show.
Day before Halloween, too.
Okay. It's still, then why weren't the other ones dressed up? Why wasn't it like, and then it's not a tornado tag match. Everyone's in the fucking ring. Everyone's fighting. No one's being told to go anywhere. Wins and fucking losses matter in this goddamn company.
I gotta say, my kid popped so hard when Kenny Omega came out as it's Sans from Undertale.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh my God. Like, she couldn't, she just shit.
Can they do it for the kids?
Her pants? Like, in front of you?
Well, maybe a little.
All right, whatever.
Can they do it for the kids?
But, so,
she can wipe
look,
her own
man,
ass.
I am also now worried about Full Gear because now I'm just looking at it as, dude, if Cody wins this title at Full Gear, which if you're playing to the old school wrestling style of, because now they're bringing Dusty into it and talking about Dusty and everything, and I'm like, this motherfucker's going to win this belt.
No, he's not.
And if that's the case, I understand. It just, to me, it's right back to things that we had a problem with in the beginning of this.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Jarrett, TNA. Like, you're putting the belt on yourself rather than putting other talent over. Granted, Cody may not win this, but I'm also not a huge fan of him being a contender for this title, especially when you're, again, back to wins and losses matter. And you have Pac on commentary a couple weeks ago cutting a promo saying, where the fuck is my title shot? I'm unfucking defeated in this goddamn company. And you got this guy who just got a winning record who's getting a title shot against Jericho next week. Why is Cody going up against this guy? Why am I not going up against this guy?
Isn't Cody undefeated?
No, Cody's got one
draw.
loss. He had a draw, and he has one loss in tag.
Yeah, if you're going to overall records, no. In singles, yes. No, it's a draw. But yes, that's technically undefeated. But Pac's 2-0. 2-0 is better than 2-0 and 1-1. You know, but it's okay. We have said it over and over. And my problem,
Pac and Moxley just wrestled to a draw, so now him and Cody have the same record.
Yep.
Yeah.
okay, yeah,
TV
but
draw.
but before that he
Time
didn't,
draw.
and that's my problem. Is you as a company are putting a lot of emphasis on this wins and loss record to where it's on the fucking your name display when you're coming out. And again, like I said, I'm not trying to bury AEW. I'm just saying these are things that are just glaring to me now to the point where it's like it needs to change because I love the rest of the shit, right? I thought that tag team match, the ref was great. Aubrey's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Right? Like we've said that about Bryce is the other referee. He's also really good. I'm not trying to shit completely on this, and that's why I'm saying I'm 50-50. And it's so 50-50 to where it's complete fucking polar opposites. I don't have a gray area with AEW. I either fucking love it or I'm like, God damn it, go away. Right? So in my eyes, I still think AEW is good. I don't think it's better than NXT.
Mm-hmm.
Nas, what are your feelings on this?
I don't think it's better than NXT.
Mm-hmm.
I think it has potential to be better than NXT. And
do you think it'll
the
reach that
product
potential?
itself with the high, even with the high spots, it's different than WWE.
And that's what people have been crying
And
for.
honestly, it's refreshing. Like, I love the fact that they are putting so much emphasis on tag teams. And even like, you know, the 3-man tags, I wasn't really a fan of, but I think the reason like you're getting the elite and all the high spots and shit like that is because they're trying to establish, now they have like their tag division established. They have champions. You've met all the tag teams throughout this tournament. They've all been on TV. You know, even throughout the tournament, private parties sitting in the stands, so they've gotten recognition. Okay, now we're going to build our trios division. So that's why you saw 2 6-man tags. That's why you saw the Spot Fest, blah, blah, blah. They had a little bit of fun. It was Halloween. Jericho wore a pumpkin jacket. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It was kind of like whatever you guys want to do, go do it. So I don't just think that the Bucks are... I think the Bucks are over the top, but I think if any of the other talent wanted to do something special, they would accommodate them as well. Because, you know, I mean, Best Friends came out as, you know...
Rick and
Morty. And
I think that was here's the sponsor. We're going to put it on the guy who's probably the most over in the company, Orange Cassidy.
Oh, yeah. I've sold AEW via Orange Cassidy to multiple people.
My other problem were the commercials. I use that in air quotes because they cut and you still saw the screen, but nothing was going on. Mm-hmm. They were just showing people in the fucking crowd.
Yeah. That, and they were also showing like moments ago. And
right, yeah. It's
I hated the other, like 2 weeks ago when they actually had a match end during a commercial.
Yeah, and that's like, look, we can bitch about commercial breaks all you want, right? Oh, it's in the middle of this fucking match, and now I don't see this. It's the main event, and they're doing this. There was a commercial break in the main event of AEW, that tag match. Not a cutaway where you saw the match going on.
And that's the one you wanted to cut.
And that's why weren't you doing the cutaway and then rather than to the fucking after fucking Kenny Omega after the Elite win, you cut to the crowd, right? Like, and then again moments ago because Santana and Ortiz attacked him at the end of it because they were walking around high fiving people in the audience, so extending that, it's frustrating because we all know what we wanted different from WWE, right? And it's like. AEW's like, it's like they're going, hey, but we put frosting on our shit. You know, like it's still shit, but it's got a sweet flavor before you get to it. Like again, it's there's the shit and then there's the greatness. I will never knock the greatness because again, I can't put over enough how much better that women's match was than any other fucking women's match that they fucking had.
And I love Hikaru Shida.
How great that tag team title match was.
Waifu.
Smitty, you're watching this. Obviously, you're a fan of AEW. We all are fans, but you're watching this. Is anything frustrating you, or is there things that you're just like, fuck yes? Are you happy SCU won?
Oh, I was absolutely happy that SCU won. One thing I said, the Lucha Brothers, like I've had a feeling they were going to win when the final match was announced. Because Lucha Bros right now are still AAA tag team champions and are House of Glory tag team champions as well. So it was more so behind the scenes where I'm like, oh, so SCU is going to go over. I'm glad to see Scorpio Sky finally get a little bit of recognition and have an actual title on a major platform. Nice. And that's cool. And I think to a certain degree, I think AEW struck the iron while it was hot with the whole WWE getting heat over the Jordan Miles thing by putting the tag championship on a guy like Scorpio.
Do you think that was a political move?
I don't think it was one of those unintentional political moves, not something they did on purpose.
All right. Nick, watching AEW, obviously we all just said NXT. Do we all think NXT was better this week? Because this is the war. Even if it's by a slight margin.
I think this week.
No, not this week. AEW got it.
I think AEW's been. I think AEW has more people watching it than NXT.
Yeah, but what's the better overall show?
Yeah, but okay, that's what I'm going into. Like the first. What are we on? Show number 4.
This is 5.
Okay, so number 5. So the first 3, they were like dead even. And NXT's kind of dropped off, whereas AEW's kind of kept it at a steady incline, in my opinion.
They've been trading water of like about $1 million, give or take.
So 2 of you are at AEW is better. Nick, where you at?
Yeah, I would agree with that too. I think NXT, it's been really close, like neck and neck. There was a week NXT was better. It was either last week or the week before. I think NXT kind of edged them out.
Balor's heel turn helped.
But it wasn't like one was bad. It just one was better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with that. I still, even as much as the stuff that I'm bitching about, I'm not saying the AEW show sucked.
Yeah.
It was still good.
There are a couple things I'm not happy with. The commercial thing, I don't necessarily know, and I don't pretend to. I've never worked in production or what kind of contract that this television company has with AEW on when they need to present their commercials or how they need to be presented, or if they can. Okay, so this next break, you can do a cutaway, or you have to do 4 cutaways tonight and 4 regular commercials breaks, and in what order? Because I know, like for instance, I worked at a radio station, and you had to present a certain amount of commercials and certain amount of network-based commercials as a certain amount of local commercials, when and how they wanted them, and so on and so forth. So I imagine it works similar in TV. Just it might not be something we understand, but I don't like it. I don't like how they're presenting it.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of the win-loss thing because you keep telling me that they matter. How? How do they matter? Because just on a number base, here he's 3-2. Why though? Okay, he's won matches, but what's the strength of schedule? Does that play a role in it? Because, like you said, okay, Pac was undefeated, didn't have a draw. Cody did have a draw. So essentially, if you looked at it from, let's say, a points perspective, maybe Pac might have a few more points, or maybe Cody had that 1 extra point because he had a draw in 1 more match. There's just no rhyme or reason to the fact that you tell me wins and losses matter.
Yeah, if you beat a champion in a non-championship match, that should be a bigger win than beating Joe Smo, who's a local jobber.
Yeah.
Or let's have divisions or whatever. So I don't think Jericho's going to I hope that he doesn't lose, because I don't think that that's a good idea to have Cody go over. If you want him as your champion 6 months from now, I don't have a problem with that. But it is way too soon to have your top guy, not only, he's Cody Rhodes, but your vice or president or whatever role he's playing, to have him as your AEW champion, not even 6 months into your stint.
Plus, in order for this thing to work, they need the inner circle to be causing mayhem for a long time before they even get a single strike back on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quickly, we have 5 minutes left in the show. I want to talk about Impact. Impact did 2 major things this week with the Bound for Glory, and then their first episode of Impact on Access. Smitty, you've been the Impact guy. I watched this week, but I want to talk to you about this. So big news out of it is at the end of the Impact on Access, the Impact title changed hands and went from Brian Cage to Sami Callihan. Sami Callihan is your brand new Impact Wrestling heavyweight champion. It was a steel cage match. It took 3 of pile drivers. The third one,
third one was off the second rope.
Off the second rope. Yep. And then at the end of it, Tessa Blanchard comes out and confronts Sami Callihan.
He just flips
and
over.
Tessa Blanchard and Sami Callihan had a main event match at Slammiversary. So this is kind of leading to where there's a possibility that your main title, your big title, your main big heavyweight championship title could be on a woman. I'm not saying a woman can't hold it. I'm kind of saying a woman shouldn't hold it, not because she's a woman though. I think that woman. I don't think Tessa. Like if you had Awesome Kong go with it, I'm all right with it because it's announced as the heavyweight championship.
It's not called the heavyweight championship. It's called the Impact World Championship.
Awesome
It's not
Kong
called.
heavy?
Yes.
It's not called the World Heavyweight Championship.
Heavier than Tessa Blanchard.
It's just called the Impact World Championship. It's not called the World Heavyweight.
Okay, yeah, you're right. It's the world champions. Never mind. Tessa Blanchard. I retract that statement.
So my opinion on that is see, Tessa's got this whole feud with the entire OVE, not just Callahan. And Callahan winning the world championship, just like the Ace Austin thing and Eddie Edwards, it elevates this feud in general. And I'm not saying I say let Sami Callihan get some defenses under there while Tessa deals with the rest of OVE first. And then at that point, if you put it have Tessa chase through OVE, and if you decide to put it on her. If you don't, have her win it eventually because she's literally been breaking I hate using the term breaking glass ceilings for women inside the American industry, but she's out here competing on par with her male counterparts week in, week out. Bound for Glory, even though he's also in the championship, she had a hell of a showing. She took some hella bumps. She took a Samoan drop off the top of a ladder from a 400-pound man, AC Romero. This woman can go with the best of them, man or woman.
I hear Joe really likes Ace Romero.
Ace Romero. I like Ace Romero. He's one of those big guys.
He's raving about him.
Ace Romero's a 400-pound dude that doesn't move exactly like a cruiserweight, but he moves way better than you thought.
He's a fat piece of shit with no athletic ability whatsoever.
Even though he's doing Samoan drops off of ladders.
Joe hit that shit on the head.
He probably took the worst bump in that ladder match too.
Is Impact a must-watch?
I believe at this point, Impact should be a must-watch because it's a phoenix at this point. It's rose from the ashes of the terrible year since 2009.
You know, we've always said that every time Impact seemed to take a step forward, it had to accident just 2 steps back. I'm in full agreement with you. I haven't watched every episode of it on Twitch and everything like that, but you pay a little bit more attention, especially when you have friends that of our show on there, like Rohit Raju. You know, you pay a little bit more attention here and there. You know, Jake something, cousin Jake. So you start looking and you see these little things, and then it piques your interest a little bit more. And I can honestly say since everything when Scott D'Amore got into the head spot of this, one of the head spots, it seems like Impact. No, I'm sorry, not seems like Impact has steadily grown. May not be the fastest growth. It may not be the
progress is a slow process.
A slow process that is paying out very well.
And Scott D'Amore is actually one of the Impact original guys. He was there when Jarrett originally started the company and whatnot.
All right. That's it for us, ladies and gentlemen. It's been 2 hours of wrestling. We got into a lot of it. One of the things we want to say is in December in Atlanta, 2 of us will be there for the NWA pay-per-view, Into the Fire. As well as the NWA Power tapings, the 2 days following that. Smitty and I will be down there having a blasty blast.
Make sure you guys have a glass of kayfabe cocktail for me, okay?
I'm going to have some kayfabe cocktail because that shit is done.
Or just kayfabe cock.
We can't test it. We can't.
I am not chugging the kayfabe cock, but the cream sauce.
That's why you brought Smitty.
Yeah, that's right. He'll fucking fill that Twinkie up. Chocolate Twinkie.
He's not gay,
Twinkie.
guys. He's bi-curious.
And he always says, "Bye, curious, I'm gay."
I was waiting for the gay joke. I don't know why.
Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much for watching. We thank you so much for listening. We have a great time always for you. Again, if you are watching live, listening live, make sure you subscribe to our podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you find podcasts, your Android phone, your Apple phone. You go ahead and get with us. You get with us. If you are listening on any of our podcasts, you can watch live every Sunday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on our YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, at BDRcast, or Breaking Down the Ring is how you can find us. We are your ring crew.
Nas.
Nikki One Tit.
Smitty Smith.
And the almighty one, the ring crew champion himself, Mikey. Thank you so much for listening, ladies and gentlemen. We are out.
Mm-hmm.